Hey everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. Wednesday night, and I am here with a technique for you. But I also have a sneak peek of the new Stampin' Up! In colors. I decided I'd pull them out and use them tonight. They're so pretty. And I thought I'd give you a sneak peek of them and do a little bit of a comparison of some of the colors to some of the current colors, because you might look at them and go, why do we need that when we have these? But there are differences, and so I want to show you the pretty colors. And then I'm going to make a card using the Lovely Garden Suite, which and particularly using the stencils, which I haven't used up to this point. I love the decorative masks that they have. They makes it so easy the way Stampin' Up! Does them, with the little notch on them as well as the numbering of them. So well, I guess you could make a mistake, but they're really easy to use. So the Lovely Garden Suite is what we're using for the upcoming Stamp Camp. So it is Fun Folds and More Stamp Camp. It is on May 3rd. And if you purchase the Lovely Garden Suite from me or any of the demonstrators in your market. So we have demonstrators in both the US and Canada. So you purchase the suite and you get the make and take package for free, as well as access to our Stamp Camp Facebook group. So we will give you a make and take for 6 fun folds, fancy folds, plus 6 techniques. And then during the Stamp Camp, we will be demonstrating live 6 additional folds and 6 techniques. So that's a total of 12 fancy folds and 12 techniques that you get over the course of this Stamp Camp. Some as make and takes with the PDF, as well as the PDF written instructions, as well as a video tutorial. And then the live presentations for the bonus projects. And you won't believe some of these make and take, these fancy folds and techniques. They are so amazing. So if you're interested in that, getting the suite, so a great deal, because you get the suite as well as this make and take package for free and access to the group. If you're interested in that, registration closes at the end of, or 22nd or so of April. Just want to make sure you have time to get your product in your hand before the Stamp Camp. And so if you're interested, let me know. The registration link is on my website, as well as in my Facebook group. All right, everybody, so I'm going to switch over and I'm going to show you the in colors, and then we'll make a card using them. All right, so in colors. Gosh, aren't they pretty? You probably have seen some posts with them in. So the first one is called Darling Duckling. To get the names right. Darling Duckling. And then we have Cloud Cover. And then Strawberry Slush. So if you've been around a little while, you may remember this is coming back, Strawberry Slush. Timid Tiger. And Secret, I have to get it right, Secret Sea. Still getting the names. So that's the 5 in colors that we have. So let me do a little bit of a comparison. So this is the Darling Duckling. So let me bring in some of the colors. So I'm hoping 2 nights in a row, I know, and my voice is getting a little better, so I don't quite sound so congested. I'm definitely starting to feel better. All right, so there is Darling Duckling at the top. Actually, I guess it's better. I'll put it in the middle. No, I'm going to do this. Put it in the middle. And so this is Daffodil Delight. So this is more muted. This is quite a bit brighter than the Darling Duckling, and then the Crushed Curry is more orangey. So you can see there definitely is a difference. So that's Darling Duckling. And the next color, now I'm going to show you this. This is the Cloud Cover, and I don't have the ink pad because there was a quality issue with the ink pads, and so Stampin' Up! Has pulled them all of the ink for Cloud Cover until they can sort out the issue. So we have the paper for now, but there is Balmy Blue, and boho blue. Boho blue is going away, but I thought I'd just bring it in. The other color that I could bring in, yeah, no, that's smoky slate, so definitely more blue than that. It kind of reminds me, a few years ago we had one called Soft Sky, and I'm sure there was a difference if I looked at Soft Sky as well. But this just gives you an idea of the differences in the colors. Okay, now let's do this one. This is Secret Sea. Maybe it's easier to see. So this is the paper for Secret Sea. So this is Misty Moonlight, definitely darker and moodier than Misty Moonlight. Night of Navy, again, more gray black than Night of Navy, but a little closer than Misty Moonlight. And then I brought in Basic Gray, definitely not a gray, but definitely has got that darker tone to it. So between the, it's definitely darker than Night of Navy, and bluey, less blue, kind of more on blacky gray tones. Okay. And we're going to all grow to love these. Everybody kind of freaks out over it at the beginning when, oh my gosh, because some of the ones that are disappearing, boho blue, pebble path, boho blue, pebble path, moody mauve, copper clay, and there's one I'm forgetting. Can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, those are disappearing. All right, so this is Timid Tiger. Peach Pie, definitely darker than Peach Pie. Not as orange as Pumpkin Pie. And that's Calypso Coral. So it's kind of in the tone of Calypso Coral, but more orange than it. So I love, of all of them, I think that the Timid Tiger is my favorite. Okay, one more, and that's Strawberry Slush. And like I said, this is a returning one. So Melon Mambo, not as dark as Melon Mambo, darker than Pretty in Pink, and pinkier than Flirty Flamingo. But if this is going to be a really lovely addition to our pinks. Are these the same weight as the normal cardstock? Yes, same weight, exactly the same as our regular cardstock. These are the 5 new in colors that are coming in this year. So they're not two-tone, they're our regular cardstock. I really love them. Okay, so let's make a card. So this is the Thankful Garden, again, part of the Lovely Garden suite. Comes with these masks so that you can create either this flower or this hydrangea. I'm going to use, these are the Textured Notes dies, so I'm going to use those. Those are part of one of the new online exclusives as well, called Botanical Textures. The suite comes, of course, with dies that you can cut these out, as well as some leaves. And then it comes with these gorgeous, what are they called? Starburst sequence embellishments in Fresh Freesia. I think that's Crushed Curry white. And let's see, there's some faux velvet ribbon that is also part of the suite. So if you join the Stamp Camp, you will get everything that's in the suite, like as well as the make and takes, and then access to our Facebook group. Okay, so let's get started. Let's bring in. Okay. So I have some supplies. Look, this may be one of my new favorite color combinations. Secret Sea and Darling Duckling. Oh, I'm still getting used to those. Darling Duckling. I've got to think about that one. So I have gone ahead. So I've cut my Secret Sea to be 4 1/4 by 11, and so I'm going to score it at 5 1/2. And take my bone folder and fold into the mountain or the raised line. And that's our card base. And then I went ahead and I cut out So this is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I embossed it using the mini corrugated embossing folder. So you get this lovely, lovely texture. But what I'm gonna do before I start, maybe, okay, let's see. Okay, I got a piece of paper here. I was looking for a grid paper. I'm gonna actually take a blending brush. Ooh, a brand new one too. And I'm just gonna kind of add some dimension to this, to my corrugated. I might add some distressing too if I keep doing that. Just mostly around the edge. I loved it when we had our crimping tool. Somebody reminded me of the name of it the other night. I loved the crimping tool that we had. So this corrugated embossing folder is, I love it. Okay. There. So I just added a little bit of, and you may not be able to see that, but it just kind of adds a little bit of dimension to it. So I'm going to use my glue to put this on. Oh, there we go. I definitely like the liquid glue when I'm going to have on an embossing folder to get into the nooks and crannies, especially this one because it's quite deep. All right, there we go. Okay. So now we're going to do we're going to use the masks. So I always use a piece of grid paper, and I put down my piece of paper on grid paper or scrap paper, and I'm just using Post-it note tape. You can use Post-it notes just to position my my piece of paper so it doesn't move, and just in case it does move, I'm going to mark the corners. Doesn't take long to get this ready, but it just helps as you're doing your images. Now, let me tell you about these. I've talked about them before when I've used them. In this case, there are 5 different masks, and they actually have two different flowers on each. So we're going to use this flower here, and so it's the one on the, if the notch is on my right, it's the one on the left. So on each of the mask, there is a number at the top and there is a notch. And what that allows you to do is put your mask in position in the same spot each time. Now I see let's see if I can do this. I think if I move this, there we go. Okay. So if I just shift this around a little bit, I can get this. I want to make sure that I might have to reposition it a little bit, because I'm going to cut this out with my die once I've got it done. Okay, so I've got my die here, and what I'm going to do is just mark my die positioning so that I don't kind of get it moved. Okay, so what I want is I'm going to put this fairly close to the top because I'm going to put my sentiment. So we're going to start with number 1, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my notch. I'm going to just zoom in there and hopefully you can see. There we go. So I've got my notch marked, and I always like to mark the corners just because I find it easier to line up a few things than just that one notch. Okay, so you get your mask in position, and we're going to start out with the Darling Duckling. So I've got my ink. I guess you can't see it very well. Okay, so now that I've showed you that. Okay, so I've got my ink, and I want this to be quite light. This is the background of it, so I'm not pressing really hard on my flower. The masks will clean up nicely. When you're done, you can just take water or a baby wipe and rub over them, but you can see that's quite light because of the yellow, but there you can kind of see that I've got the outline of the flower. So I'm going to now take number 2, and I've got my notch here. So we're going to line up my notch. We're going to line up those corners that I marked. And I'm going to use Darling Duckling again, but this time I'm going to press a little bit harder to make it darker. And it's kind of magic as you remove them, so you can see when I went over. Hopefully my mask, my die will kind of get that. Okay, so this is the last one for the flower. So for this one, we are going to use, if I can find it, Timid Tiger. So again, I'm gonna line up my notch and my corners. So this is the center, so it can be quite dark. Doesn't all have to be exactly the same. And I now have my flowers with the lovely orange center to them. And now we're going to take, the next one is starting with the leaves, and I'm going to use Lost Lagoon with the leaves. I didn't want it too dark. So we're going to start, I've lined up my notch and my corners again. This is the biggest leaf, like the kind of the background of the leaf, and so we're going to just do fairly light for the background, maybe darker than that. So when I keep my stamp case open, pick up ink, and then I daub it onto the back side of the case. There we go, that's a little bit darker. So there's our first set of leaves, and then this is the detailed one. So again, the notch, line it up, the corners, and we're gonna pick up some of the ink. And this one I do want dark. This is the details of the leaves. And you might want to press. That stem is quite narrow. So you might want to just press her a little harder into those. Okay, there we go. Isn't that a pretty flower? I just love that flower, and I really love the color of the Darling Duckling. Okay, so I do need to cut this out now, and like I said, hopefully, if I can find my dies, hopefully I have, yeah, oh, that die is not going to work. I might have to rethink this. Let's see. So here's a thing to look at. So one of the things that you always want to look at when you're stamping is it tells you on the bottom of your stamp the size. Oopsie, let's see. So this says images are 75%. So when I went to try and figure out how big a piece of paper I need and which die I was going to use, I didn't look at that, and I just kind of eyeballed. And now, look, I have my dies are the wrong size. So we're going to do it a little different than I was thinking I was going to. So we're going to get an eraser. And we're going to do some erasing of lines, but first of all, I'm just going to take and trim this. There we go. So let's make this about 3 1/4 inches wide. Maybe 3 1/8 inch wide. We'll improvise here, and then we'll use a piece of white for the sentiment. Kind of doing it a little different than I was thinking, but I do have to erase my my mark. These white erasers, if you do need to do some erasing, they work wonderfully to do that. Now, one thing that I didn't do, and you can do it either way, is I like the effect when you don't stamp the image with black first. I just quite like the subtle nature of not having that black line. And so if you don't like that, you can stamp your image first and then use the masks. Oh, that's going to be very pretty. Okay, so let's take some dimensionals. Like I said, I was going to use the textured notes dies because I absolutely love them, but yeah, didn't think about the size of the image. That's still a bit of the brain fogginess from the flu that I had. Okay, so we're just going to take that and adhere that. I really love the color with the secret Sakai. Hey Nicole, welcome. And then the timid tiger. So let's do an image. Let's do our sentiment. So I want to do. I wonder. So the images are also quite a bit bigger. So so I'm going to do thankful for you, friend. And this stamp looks like I didn't clean it very well when I last used it. So let's just grab a baby wipe and get the black off of it. I think that black is on the underside. Okay, well, it's not as dirty as I thought it was. Okay, now I am going to stamp with Timid Tiger just because I really like the look of the orange, and I've got the orange on the center of the flowers. So thankful for you, friend. Like that. And while I've got my ink pad out, I've got a piece of basic white that's 4 inches by 5 1/4. I'm going to stamp on the inside the one that says with love. I love orange, and so this Timid Tiger is such a pretty color. If you're not into the pumpkin pie because it's a little bit too bright, maybe the Timid Tiger is for you. So I'm just going to take, yes, definitely different, completely different stamp and stenciled, or yeah, definitely different. It's kind of a nice way. It makes me feel like an artist, because how cool is it to create an image like that with stencils or masks. All right, so I'm just following the lines around with my paper snips. Again, if you're interested in the fun folds and more, everybody loves to make fun folds. Stamp Camp, this is what we're using, is the lovely Garden Suite. And it is on May 3rd. If you're not around on May 3rd, that's okay. You can always watch this on the replay. So you won't miss out. You can do them at your own pace. So we'll just put that down like that. And oops, adhere this to the inside of the card. Like that. It's not often I put sentiments on the inside of my card, but I really love that sentiment. All right, so I need some embellishments. So I pulled out, these are the Starburst sequins that come in the suite. And I think what I'm going to use the yellow ones, even though they're either Crushed Curry or Daffodil Delight, because I've got different tones going on here, or different shades because of the way I've blended it. I think they go perfectly. There we go. There is my lovely gardens card using the masks, and you got a sneak peek of some of the gorgeous new in colors and a comparison of the colors. All right, let's switch back over to that. Again, if you're interested in that stamp camp, registration doesn't close till the end, or about the 22nd of April. It's really the amount of time that you need to get the product to you and to get the make and take kits to you. It might be a little earlier than that, just depends on where you live. And again, you don't have to be around to watch live on the day of the stamp camp. You can watch it later and make your make and takes as you please. It's not a have to do everything in one day. In fact, it's kind of nice just to watch and then make everything after the fact. So if you're interested, just let me know. You can reach out to me. So if you go to my website, you can find my contact information there. It's stampingwithmelva@gmail.com if you are interested. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Now, I will not be live on Saturday because I have a class in Victoria, but I will be live again on Sunday at 12 noon. So